How do I start a life in a new city? This person writes, I'm a 25-year-old woman. I have a couple of good friends, but they're all living in different places, and I don't have a relationship with my toxic family. I also got dumped a month ago, so I have been feeling quite lonely, especially since my ex was my closest friend. I've been struggling with social anxiety all my life, but it's been improving, so I'm trying not to think about it too much. Just struggling with loneliness recently and trying to find my footing. Well, I am somebody that moved from the West Coast, from all my family and all my friends, to a place where I had zero ties on the other coast at that. And I moved out there with a car, drove 6 days. I quit my job. I had an Airbnb for 2 weeks. I had no apartment lined up. I had no job lined up. And I just went for it. And a lot of people think that's something you can't do, but it's definitely something you can do. And it's something that, if it really speaks to you, if you think it's something that you're going to regret later in life, I would do it. But how do you start a new life? I mean, it's not as complicated as you think. I like to prioritize things based on most important to least important. So if you have a fair amount of money saved up, that will be good because you're probably going to have to live on it for a bit while you find a job. And you kind of want that flexibility too, so you're not really stressed. The beginning process is stressful. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's incredibly easy. There is some things about it that'll make you worry, and it might feel like a struggle. But once you're all settled in, it's great. So first things first, you're gonna want to find an apartment, and that might be tough when the place that you're looking for is far away. You can't go and look at apartments, and some landlords don't even want to sign with somebody they haven't met. So what I did was I got an Airbnb for a couple of weeks, and that was the longest I could get it for, the longest that the person would allow me to. Now that's something you can do. You get an Airbnb for a month, maybe. It's more costly than renting an apartment, sure, but you could sublet for a month. I would go to Craigslist. That would be probably your better and more cheapest option. And once you have a place you can stay for a bit, then start looking for apartments, start applying for jobs. And once you're settled in that aspect, you have your job, you have your apartment. The first thing I did was I started going to meetups on meetup.com and just meeting people. I'm a musician, and I went on Craigslist and I posted an ad for people who wanted to start bands, and I ended up joining a band probably a couple weeks after that. So think about like focusing your hobbies. Like, what would you do in your hometown? What do you like to do? Like, pursue those things. Especially if you're moving to a bigger city, it is incredibly easy to meet new people through things like Meetup, through activities in general. Like, I came from a really small town, and I couldn't believe how easy it was. So once you do that, I think you'll find that you can set up your life no problem. Just the things that I would encourage you to think about is why do you want to move to a new city? It seems like a real innocuous thing at first, right? Well, I based on what you said, this comes up after you being dumped and you don't really have a relationship with your family. Your ex was your closest friend. I want you to really look at the situation and ask yourself if you want to move to a new city just because you want to run away from your problems, because that's probably not the best time to move to a new city. I mean, if you want to start over, if you really feel like you don't identify with the area, you don't have any friends, and you just could see yourself in a bigger and better area, feeling like you're living a better life, yes, go for it. um, but some people, they move hoping to get away from their problems, and what they find is, maybe not immediately, but eventually your problems will follow you, and then you're faced with the same old stuff, right? So I would say, before you go and move to this new city, really deal with the grief you're feeling right now, mourn these feelings, process these feelings. You know, don't run away from them for now. Like, take some time with them to get through them, so that way you're in a good positive mindset. You don't want to take this huge life-changing event when you're going through grief and haven't processed it. And then and you said you're working on social anxiety. Maybe that's something you can start to work on before the move. And this would be like, if you don't have enough money saved up, this might be a good thing to do in the meantime while you save up money. A therapist can be a good fit therapist can be really useful for this. So yeah, if you want anything more specific, leave a comment and I'll try to help you as best as I can. Like I said, I did this before. I moved over 3,000 miles away. Um, the way back to my family was like an 8 hour plane ride or 6 days of driving. So I know what it's like to leave everything behind and basically you either sink or swim. So yeah, let me know. Be good to yourself.